Now look at questions 11 and 13 out of chapter 8 because they go together. And question 11 starts out telling us they took a survey of a bunch of folks, in fact 1,664 folks, and asked them if they favored an amendment allowing prayer in school. Suppose 66% of the sample answered yes. That's a p-hat. So p-hat for this question is 0.66. It then says they used a 95% confidence level with a margin of error of plus or minus 3 percentage points. So question A says, explain what the margin of error means to someone who knows little to no statistics. Well, basically, the margin of error is my wiggle room. I think 66% is a pretty good guess. But if you're going to allow me a little wiggle room, I'd like to move out by this margin of error. Now, if I combine all this together, what this tells me is if I took lots of samples of this size, 95% of those samples would come within 3 percentage points of the truth. So that's a little bit technical, but that's what it means. If I take a bunch of repeated samples of that same size, then 95% of those samples will come within 3 percentage points of the truth. So question B says, state and interpret the confidence interval for this. And I think I'll go ahead and type this. So basically what I have is the confidence interval is 0.63 to 0.69, and sometimes that's written like this. So there's the actual interval. And what B says is interpret that. And I like to interpret it with this, essentially a cookie cutter sentence. I am blank percent confident the true blank is between 0.63 and 0.69, or you could say 63 and 69%. And then I like to go back here and I change the color here to something different, and we'll say I am 95% confident in this case, or 95% sure that the true mean what? Well, in this case, the true mean, or the true proportion, change the color again here, of people who support a school prayer amendment is between 63 and 69%. And so essentially that sentence is the same all the time, except for these red things that I just plug in based on the particular question that we're looking at. And finally, part C says interpret the confidence level. Well, the confidence level is 95%. So the idea here is that, again, kind of like we said on part A, if we repeat this process a bunch of times and we come up with a bunch of different intervals based on the particular p-hat we got, 95% of those intervals would contain the true proportion of those who favor an amendment allowing organized prayer in public schools. Now, sometimes it gets tedious to say that stuff in red, the percentage of people who support a school prayer amendment or whatever, but that's very important, is that we do the context of the problem.